This guy comes over and taps me on the shoulder. He goes, "Oh, Mr. Arnold, look, I have 10 taxis. Where's the players? Mr. Maradona wants you to come to nightclub." And I'm thinking, oh, this guy's taking the piss here.
Coming up next, Arnie talks about his night on the tiles with Diego Maradona.
I sort of gave up football and cricket. She just grabbed me by the hand one day and she just said, "Stop being a bum. You've got potential. You can be a star one day."
This is on her deathbed.
2 years later, I played for the Socceroos.
Here's Arnold. 2-0. Graham Arnold.
This is the Australian mentality.
Yeah, okay.
Fight at all costs.
Yep.
Yeah, no excuses. Get everything done. So we're sitting in his room and Elton John walks in with his dressing gown on.
This is not where I expected this conversation to go.
And Johnny stepping up the way he did. I think he had this thing that whatever happened, he was going to be the star of the show.
Yeah.
And his name was going to be remembered forever.
Here's Aloisi for a place in the World Cup. He scored! Australia have done it!
Messi, he's the talisman. He's the Maradona of his generation.
I've coached against him 4 times. I removed his name when I was talking to the players about their style. The more you mention Messi's name, the more they get in their mind. I called him number 10.
Right.
Grab the boys after dinner, show them Fed Square. Look what you're doing to Australia. Look at the kids that you're inspiring. These are moments your family will never ever forget.
Well, Arnie, since we recorded your episode, things have changed in your employment world. So I appreciate you coming back on, mate, just to explain what the thought process has been and how you're tracking.
Mate, I'm great. Feeling quite relieved, to be honest. It's obviously when I did your podcast, I was still trying to convince myself everything would be okay. I haven't felt the same as what I felt before ever since the Asian Cup loss, the semi-final against South Korea in the last minute, the penalty, and then the goal in extra time. And the 2 Lebanon games we played, I didn't feel the passion in as much as what I normally do, and I just felt that I wasn't giving 100% anymore, and I just didn't feel the belief anymore. And so we won that 2-0 first game. We won the second one 5-0, and I just kept going, I'll be right. And, when you get those type of feelings, that's when it's probably, time to probably start thinking about, should I be here much longer? Because, the players probably can feel it, that I was a little bit different in those last 2 games. Even though they won't admit to it, but I know how I felt. And the most important thing is, it's not about me. It's not about Graham Arnold. It's a nation's team. I wanted to do what's right, what I believed was right for the nation and the players and the team.
People are going to love your episode. Have a great spell. Have a couple of beers, relax, and I look forward to seeing where you turn up next, mate.
Mate, thanks, Howie. And I just want to say thank you for all the support, but also to the fans, mate. They've been fantastic. We've had some incredible moments and some incredible times, and may those continue.
We've been trying to organise this for a while, and we occasionally talk and text, and I'm like, well, I'm going to India for this, and you're like, well, I'm going to Indonesia for this. Then I'm like, well, I've got the test match here, and you're like, well, I got this qualifier in Jordan or Oman or all these. Have you got any travel tips? Like, how do you deal with the jet lag? Because we'll get to the places you've been in your career. I haven't been able to nail jet lag. Have you got any secret tips for me?
No.
Right, nothing.
No, just leave me alone for 2 days after I get back.
Because you do travel a hell of a lot, don't you?
Yeah. I find today the 2-hour, 3-hour time differences are worse than the 8 to 9 hours.
Yeah, I get that.
Because, it's not 6 a.m., 9 a.m., it's, and it's much harder for me. But no, look, I've been doing travelling for a hell of a long time. A lot of my mates say to me they don't know anyone that's done more travel than me. And
you must be a platinum frequent flyer style.
Yeah.
Do you get in that special Qantas area there? Do you get in that chairman's?
Can I brag about it?
So have you been in there?
I'm in the chairman's lounge.
Oh, Arnie, now I'm pumped up what you've done for your country. So every time I get to the airport...
Qantas chairman's lounge, it's great.
Well, what is it? Because I walk past, I look at the door on the right, I think, oh, there must be some good stuff in there. Like, when they brought to the normal lounge the toasty machine, it just gave me a massive lift. What happens back there behind the glass doors?
Oh, mate, it's 3-course meal.
Yeah, it's luxury.
Is it what I picture in my mind? Is it that bloody
Absolutely,
good? Right.
absolutely.
Well, if
Qantas.
anyone's from listening from Qantas, I'm happy to come in there and check it out one day.
I'll take you in one day.
That would be good. I'd like to coordinate our flights. The other thing, and I mentioned the service to your country, which I think is probably underestimated. I look at AFL football as the space I work in at the moment. Everyone's rocking mullets, and it's like mullets are the new cool thing. Now looking back at some of the videos, and they've got moustaches too. You had the curly mullet with moustache. Like, if you were rocking that now, you would be a style icon. I'm not saying you weren't then. Do you look back on those days?
I set the scene.
You did.
For today.
My word, you did. Do you look back on those days and wish, you're a bit thinner on top now? It was class what you were rolling with, Arnie.
Well, at the time I was doing it, it wasn't known as class.
Right. It was a curly-haired mullet.
People used to think I was a porn star.
See, I didn't want to say that, but that's what I thought. I thought it was some sort of cheap B-grade blue movie, for want of a better term.
And no, it's just I had curly hair. I don't think I ever combed it in my whole life when I had hair.
But then you had the courage to rock a mullet with it.
Yeah. I had it all round initially, and then all of a sudden I just decided to chop the sides off. And my mum did it because she was, she cut my hair in those days, and it just got longer at the back. And I thought, this looks pretty cool. And
then added the mo to it as well to go up a notch.
The mo, I couldn't grow a beard in those days, just a mo. And it was. I look back at those photos, and it's funny. These days, I'll sit with my grandkids and go, "Which one's Pop? Which one's Pop?" Right, and the team line up. And every time they can't pick who I am.
How many grandkids you got?
I've got 7 grandsons.
7 grandsons. How much joy do they bring you?
Everything. Obviously, I got at this moment in time, 3 of them are overseas. They're heading back to Australia soon. 2 up in Newcastle and 2 out of Blacktown, and it's always fantastic, and it's an honour and a privilege. I'm so proud of my daughters and everything, and but to have grandsons, it's like you're walking back 30 years again when you start minding them again, but. These days, give me about 3 hours and pass on, please.
Well, how old is the youngest?
The youngest one is about 2 months.
Okay, so it's in the trenches again.
Yeah. The oldest one's 11. So,
right. And do they? So the 11-year-old does he follow you on the Socceroos? Is he across what you do?
Yeah, but he's Howie. He's a beast. He's a rugby league player.
He's a rugby league player.
Yeah, he's just got too big a frame to play soccer.
Right.
And so I've convinced him to go and play rugby league, and he's doing very well up in Newcastle.
Oh, I'll keep an eye out for him. I said to you on the way up in the lift, I'm not normally a big research and notes man, but I start Adam Peacock, a mutual friend of ours who put me in touch with you originally. He said, you can just go on ozfootball.net, this website, and it is extraordinary. So it's got every match you've ever played for your country. So I have notes that I want to get to. Before we get to the footy and the places you've been, I read a little bit about your family and your upbringing. Only last night, which I didn't have an understanding of. I don't know how much you want to talk about your family, although it's obviously shaped you. Tell me about where you grew up. I didn't know. So I spent 5 years of my school in Sylvania. So I didn't know you were from that part of the world. I went to Sylvania Heights Primary.
Sylvania Heights.
Yeah, Sylvania
I went
Heights.
to Sylvania Primary near Tom Ugley's Bridge.
Near Tom Ugley's Bridge. Yeah. So we were down near the golf course at Kareela.
Yeah. You play golf there?
I learnt to play golf there. Someone gave me a 5-iron, but we had a pool sort of backing onto one of the holes, and you'd be swimming in the pool with a metal fence, and bang, the old top flight had come flying through, and someone had hooked it. So
that was me.
That was probably. You said, tell me a little bit. It's amazing what drives athletes. Tell me a bit about your upbringing.
Yeah, look, it was. We lived in my grandmother's garage from the time I was born, basically, till I was 24.
In your grandma's garage?
In my grandmother's garage.
So times were tight?
Yeah, very tight. My mum and dad had no money. My dad was a cab driver. He was, I can say this, he was an alcoholic. And my mum, she was ill when I was 15, 16. The first time I'd ever heard of breast cancer back then. Never heard of it before. And she was... Yeah, she was diagnosed with that. She battled it for about three to 4 years. She was in Calvary for a year. She fought it that hard. And then obviously she passed away when I was 20 and a half, and she changed my life. And
How's that?
well, I haven't really talked too much about this before, but I was a very good cricketer. And I won Player of the Year, under 10s, under 12s, under 14s. I was playing Port of Grey when I was 16.
What were you, batter bowler?
Wicket-keeper batsman.
Wicket-keeper
Yeah,
batsman.
and when, a couple of times when Steve Rickson went for state duty, I was first-grade wicket-keeper at Sutherland. And, and I had a great career, probably for cricket and then also football. And my mother she grabbed me by the hand just before she died, and she said to me, and this is to a lot of my mates, because I went off the rails, probably at a very important age of developing for football or sport or anything. And
what does off the rails mean?
Well, I left school.
At what age?
I was 16, and I went and I was an apprentice carpenter, but I was out every night. And so it wasn't, I was out, Monday to Friday nights, going to work every day. I sort of gave up football and cricket a little bit, and then she just grabbed me by the hand one day and she just said, "Stop being a bum like the rest of your mates. You've got quality, you've got potential. Use it. You can be a star one day."
This is on her deathbed, literally.
This is on her deathbed. And this is it's not a message for people, but I reckon that day she said it to 2 years later, I played for the Socceroos.
Really?
Yeah. I then went back to playing.
What a gift for her to leave you with.
Yeah, and it was based around, I had a guy called Max Grohl who out of nowhere rang me. Those days, no mobile telephones. And he just rang me up. I was about 18 and said to me, "What are you doing? You still playing?" And I said, "Nah, look, I'm not bothered anymore." He said, "Nah, come on, you've got a lot of quality. You've got something special." He said, "I'm going to coach Canterbury Marrickville, 3rd grade." And he said, "I'll pick you up from the newspaper shop at Tom Ugley's Bridge."
Tom Ugley's Bridge.
Yeah, he said, "I'll pick you up. I'll take you to training. I'll bring you home. And if you don't want to do it anymore, but give yourself a chance." I went and played. I got top goal scorer, and straight they'll put me in 1st grade nearly after, about 8 to 10 months. And then the year later, Sydney Croatia bought me, and then I went to Sydney Croatia, and obviously that was in the old NSL. And
what was that like?
It was hard because I didn't even ask to be sold, or I didn't even know I was going to be sold. I turned up to training and there was a coach there called John Zipolitas, and he replaced Ronnie Corrie, who gave me that opportunity in the 1st grade. And he just sort of said to me, "What are you doing here?" This is round 2 of the old NSL, the State League, sorry. And I said, "Why? I'm playing here, aren't I?" He said, "Well, we sold you last night." And they sold me to Sydney Croatia for $10,000 in those days.
But does the club get the money or do you get the money?
No, the club.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the club got the $10,000.
So you turn up train the next day unaware?
Unaware. And I had to go drive from Sylvania. In those days, no freeways, all the way out to Engadine, Heathcote Road, all the way out to Endenza Park.
And this is where Sydney Croatia are based. So this was back in the
early 80s.
Yeah. So what was this is my first time I can refer to the notes.
Yeah.
I'll get back to your family in a moment. 1981 to 1990, 178 matches, 69 goals. The league's top goal scorer and player of the year in 1986. So a dominant force at Sydney Croatia, but away from the actual football. What was it like playing in the NSLs? Because here it was, like back in the day, it was the Melbourne Knights, and they had and then the Hellas was the Greeks and stuff like that. So it was really based on ethnic origins. Yeah. So what was your introduction to Sydney Croatia? There'd be some wild.
I'd never heard of I'd never heard of Croatia.
I bet you hadn't. I imagine there was some wild crowds and wild customers.
And that's when, like in 86, 87, and then the war. In
the Balkans.
In the Balkans broke out, and but I think a lot of the people that coming like the crowds were huge at Sydney Croatia. I don't think we hardly ever lost a game at home. And it was quite intimidating
I bet it was.
for the away teams,
What,
like as you said.
What was it like?
Oh, they all just turned up with their flags. They were supporting the banner and the flags, but also the team. And we had a good side, and they were very good. One thing they were very good at was helping develop players, like Mark Bosnich, Željko Kalac, Craig Foster played there, Robbie Slater, Manus Lamond, all these guys, Tony Franken. A lot of people, Ned Zelic, players that went on and played for Australia, came through Sydney, Croatia, and they developed the players a lot. But it was very intimidating. And when we played against Melbourne Knights down here, so it was the same.
That was Viduka's mob, wasn't it?
Mark Viduka's mob, yeah, but he was
younger
much,
than you. Yeah.
he was much younger. But it wasn't intimidating there. But when we played Footscray Just, Serbian.
So, okay.
Then
so
it was. One time we played a game at Footscray's Oval, and it was where the train line is. And I never forget, the Footscray Just fans parked their cars on the pitch next to the main pitch.
Yeah.
And all the Croatian fans come down on the railway line with all the rocks off the railway and chucked it at all the cars. And it sort of kicked off. And we had, because normally a bus comes to pick us up after the game, we had police paddy wagons coming to pick us up, and police, and we had to get in the back of the paddy wagons to get out of the ground.
Fair dinkum.
But those days, nothing was written about it.
No, it was different times.
Yeah, completely different times.
So as a young fella growing up, you mentioned your mum, and then you just sort of said casually that your dad was a cab driver and he was alcoholic, which is a very honest thing to say to someone you don't really know. How'd that affect your life?
He was, I have to say, he was, I look at it completely different these days. He made me the person I am. And probably that's where I don't care what people think or people say. I'm hard with that. He was my coach, and he demanded so hard on me.
So he was your junior coach?
He was my junior coach all the way from 6 up to 16.
And what does a hard, demanding junior coach entail?
I never played well, not once.
Didn't matter what you did?
No, it didn't matter what I did. And if I played bad, he would basically, as a coach, he would jump in the car and leave 1 minute before the end of the game and make me walk home.
At what age?
Probably 8 to 14, 15.
Jeez, that is hard.
And I was, in those days as well, we were playing rep football. So from 8-year-old. So I was playing with Sutherland, Gawley Bay, club football on Saturday, rep football on Sunday, all the way up to 15, 16s. So there he wasn't my coach with the rep team. So he always used to, take a backwards seat and just watch the game. I never played once well. And one of the last games he ever saw me play was before he died. And I have to say, and I've said this to people before, but we played against New Zealand at Allianz Stadium.
So you're playing for the Socceroos now?
Socceroos, yeah. We won 4-1.
Yep.
I scored 2. World Cup qualifier. I rang him up after the game because he used to say, if I'd say to him, did you come watch a game? No, I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. He was there. He just didn't want me to know.
Yeah.
And even when it's Sydney, Croatia and that. And we played, as I said, New Zealand. We won 4-1, World Cup qualifier.
You've scored twice.
I scored twice. I rang him up after the game. Did you watch the game? And he said, yes. I said, what'd you think? He said, you embarrassed the Arnold name.
Is what your old man said to you?
Yeah. And I said, thanks for that. And in those days, no mobiles, and I just hung up on him. And
how would you embarrass that you've scored twice?
Well, yeah, because I missed 2.
Jeez, that's a pretty high bar.
2, yeah, but a lot of sportsmen, Howie, those days that's how we got brought up. Life was much harder then. I think my generation has helped, if anything, put the white picket fences around the houses and made mentality of the young ones a lot easier these days. And they get more. So
I'll get to how you feel about it now because you said he made you who you are. How did you feel about it at the time? How do you feel about it as an 8-year-old when you're walking home because your old man's dropped you?
My mum used to, and also I'd get home and my dad would go to the pub straight after the game and my mum would say, as soon as you see your dad's, like the car where we were in my grandmother's garage was underneath her house, come down the side passage and he parked the car out the front of the laundry door. and walk in the laundry door. And as soon as she saw the headlights, she said, "Go to bed."
So he didn't see you.
So he didn't see me. And then I'd hear him when I come in, because all we had was a partition to separate a bed, like it was a single garage in terms of width,
Yeah.
but double in length.
Yeah.
So we had a single bed with a partition that was probably 3 metres, 4 metres with a single bed, and I could hear everything he was saying. And where is he? He was useless today, you know. He was an embarrassment and all this stuff. But I could hear him. And my mum never tried to defend because she didn't want to get in an argument. But she was always the supportive one, and he was the hard one.
So that's, you know, as you say, Arnie, it's a different time. You know, if that was now, you'd be on a psychologist's couch, and like it'd be this affected my life. It doesn't. You don't seem like that type of character. But then you've said to me, he shaped me who I am. Now you're now shaping young men. And you would have been to that many games of football where you've seen parents on the sideline. I'm sure there's things you've seen that make you blanch. But then you reckon, overall, looking back on it now, so would you have got to where you would without him?
I don't think I would have.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's. I know it's funny, Jelena Dokic, I've read some stuff about her dad.
Mate, she came on this show and she brought me to tears.
Andre Agassi's stuff
Yes.
and that. But as I said, I think the special thing he's made out of it is, even today, a lot of people will say to me, "Geez, Arnie, you've done so much for the game or in football." I feel like I've done nothing. There's so much more to do. I feel like I've got so much more to give, and I'm never happy with what we've done. Like everyone talks about the World Cup and and what I've achieved, but there's still, I just feel from what that upbringing and the way he was with me, that I could never make him happy as a coach, let alone a father. Right up until, as I said, he died when I was 25. And when I went overseas to play, he changed. And when I was 25 at the time, and I went to Roda JC in Holland, in the days when the borders were shut, and it was crazy how I ended up getting picked to go over there. But it was like he then went, he's finally made it. And the weight went off my shoulders. From then, it was like I never had to please him anymore and that. And then one day he rang up the day before my daughter had her second child. I had my second child.
Yep.
And my daughter. And he said, when's this second baby born? I said, any day now. Hurry up, will you? He dropped dead the next day.
Right.
Had a heart attack and passed away. And obviously I came back for the funeral and that. And but it was just the way he was. And I think a lot of other people my age would probably have similar stories, definitely around, because again, it was the generation that we got brought up in.
So tough one for you to answer. How do you reckon he would have reacted? So July 2024, with the support of the Great Sutherland Shire Council and Gourley Bay Football Club, the Canberra Road Oval in Sylvania, New South Wales, was renamed the Graham Arnold Oval in honour of your career achievements. Be good if your dad could have seen that.
Yeah, but they have a plaque there as well. And I made sure on the plaque I got my dad, my mum, my brother's name mentioned. My brother's been a massive support, since both of them were ill, but since they died. And my brother's been in the background always supporting me. And he's completely like my mum, where he's not like my dad, where he's hard on me or that. But I made sure I got their names put in the plaque, because that was like our second home, if I can say that. The first home was obviously the garage, and the second one was, he was the president of the club, she was the secretary, and that was like that for 10, 12 years. My brother had his 21st birthday at the field.
So it was a massive part of your life.
Yeah, it was a massive part of our life. So, yeah, they would have been hugely, extremely proud of that moment, which I was as well, because, pardon me, it's not often someone gets something named after them while they're alive.
No.
I'm pretty sure Shane Warne would have loved to have seen that MCG while he was alive. And, for Sutherland Shire Council and Gourley Bay to do that was a huge honour.
Bloody, Mario, before we get to the Socceroos, you mentioned, so this is what I mentioned, your travels. So 1990 to 1992, Roda JC in the Netherlands, in Holland. 61 matches, 22 sausages, so 22 goals. So this fascinates me because when you have the likes of Aloisi on this show, who is sort of a generation just after you, like the stories and what it was like for that, like he went as a very young man. Yeah. But you mentioned it was strange how you got there. How does a bloke from the Sutherland Shire end up playing football in Holland? And what's it like when you arrived there in 1990?
It was crazy.
Was it?
It was crazy. But I got seen at the Olympics in '88.
Okay.
And again, in those days, the borders were shut in Europe. So a Belgian player was a foreigner in Holland.
Okay. Oh, there's no European Union operations.
No,
Okay.
And again, those days, no mobile telephones. And I just got a phone call from the coach of Roda JC, Jan Raker, at the time.
Just pick up and there's this bloke on the phone.
At the kitchen, hello.
The old brrr. Those phones fascinate my kids. Dad, were you alive when they had those phones where you had to twist the thing around? I was, yes, I was alive.
If you need to ring an ambulance, 000 is the longest one.
Yeah, that's right.
Should have been 111.
Yeah, you're right. It's the furthest from the destination, isn't it?
And,
so the phone rings, you're in the kitchen.
He rings me up and he says, I want you to come play for Roda JC. And I said, who's this taking the piss out of me,
One of your mates.
Yeah. And he said, I want you to get on a plane tomorrow and I'll be waiting for you at Schiphol Airport and we will pay you this.
What are they paying you to do for a memory?
Well, I said, well, if you pay me 120,000, I'll come.
120,000 Australian dollars.
Yeah,
so you did a bit of negotiation on the phone.
I had no agent.
So you had no agent. So okay.
And
so
Sydney,
you upsold him.
And they had to buy me, and Sydney Croatia got 95,000 for me.
What would you have been getting paid for Sydney Croatia at the time?
Cash or tax?
That's I don't know. What's the? Isn't it a 7-year they can't get you? Let's just say a general figure, Arnie, without brown paper bags involved.
No, exactly. About say 18,000.
18,
yeah,
and they were offering you
120.
So you had the balls on 18 to say no, I'll come for 120.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah. And I went over there, and he said to me, I've just sold my striker, John Van Loon. He's gone to Anderlecht, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, well, so then I rang Sydney Croatia and I went the next day and I never come back. And it was, honestly, it was insane because I said to him, how did you see me? And he said, I saw you play at the Olympics and then I watched you for another year. And that was in 1990 I went. So the Olympics were 88 in Seoul.
Yep.
And he said, then I've been watching you on and off for a year. We lost our striker and because I was a cheap option compared to probably most of the others, but it was insane because...
In what way?
Well, you turn up, second or third game, we're playing PSV, Coach Bobby Robson.
Wow.
He left England after 1990. He's coaching PSV, and there's Romario, he was at PSV.
Yeah.
All these great players. And then you play Ajax, and you're playing against Dennis Bergkamp. You're playing against Brian Roy, John Van Schip at the time. Then later in the night, in mid-90s, Van der Sar, Overmars, Finity George, all these incredible players.
These are huge name footballers. So you step into that out of Sydney, Croatia. Have you got the confidence to step into that and think I'll be okay here?
The third game we played, third or fourth game I played for Sydney, for Roda was against Monaco in the European Cup.
Yep.
Because Roda got third that year. And George Weah, Didier Deschamps, and these guys.
Huge names.
Yeah, I know. The whole thing is, those memories of those days, obviously there was no social media and all that, so no one hardly knows about it.
That's why we're talking about it now, Arnie.
Exactly, Howie, and thanks for bringing it up. And, mate, I started great. When I say that, I scored against Monaco. We lost 2-1 in the European Cup.
What type of crowd are you playing in front of?
At home, 20.
Okay.
20,000.
So a bit more than for Sydney Croatia.
Yeah. But when you played at PSV, 40,000, Ajax, the old Johan Cruyff Stadium.
Wow.
It was just insane. Met Cruyff a couple of times. it was insane.
So you started well.
Started well, yeah. I scored.
And when you roll up, are you embraced by your teammates, or have you taken someone's job so you're a threat?
well, the Dutch are a very tall race.
They are.
John Van Loon would have been 6'5", and I was on the 6 foot, and I could see the players going, because the Dutch way with Wim Kieft and Marco van Basten, all them tall number 9s,
Yep.
hold the ball up, we can play long. He wins all the headers.
And Australia at this point doesn't have a great international football pedigree, so they're thinking there's a bloke from Australia.
No, there was Craig Johnson, obviously.
Yep.
Eddie Krensovich, Dave Mitchell, Frank Farina, Robbie Slater, then me.
Right.
And
I haven't heard a story on this podcast like Craig Johnston.
yeah, he's a great man.
Holy heck, he is a great man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they need a tall number 9.
Yeah, tall number 9. You could see the players looking at me thinking, "Oh, he's not that tall." But I had the Timmy Cahill jump.
Okay.
I could jump and hang in the air, and but I'll never forget. I walked on the pitch the first day at training, and so the coaches picked me up, driven me down to Carlisle, Carrigrata, where it was about a 2.5 hour drive, and he says to me, and those days you're flying economy class and people are smoking next to you. And
Geez, you're an old bastard, aren't you?
and he says to me, he goes, we've got a friendly game tonight against just an amateur team. He says, just go and relax and we'll pick you up. And I said, no way. I said, I've come here to play. And he says, you're not playing tonight. I said, yes, I am. I said, I've come all this way to play, so I want to play. And he said, okay. We played an amateur team. I scored a hat-trick in the first half.
In the first half?
Yeah, he took me. We won 16-0. So it was like,
you shouldn't have dropped that bit. You shouldn't have dropped it. You should have said you won 4-3.
Okay, I'll take that back. Yeah.
Okay, you won 4-3. You scored a hat trick.
And straight away he just, I remember him saying, I can't believe this mentality. This is the Australian mentality.
Yeah,
and that's what we started being known for. That's why we started getting players taken overseas, was the Aussie mentality. Fight at all costs.
Yep.
Yeah, no excuses, get everything done. And that was, and basically he signed me straight away, and that was all done. And it was just, as I said, an incredible journey. And then I went to training the next day, and I walked on the field, and there's someone taking free kicks, putting them in the top corner, right and left foot. I'm looking, thinking, Jesus Christ.
This is a step up. I'm
thinking, I don't think I'll be getting a game, if this guy can do this. And he was the second goalkeeper. So I'm thinking, well, I've got no chance here. Thank God for that. He was the second goalkeeper.
Tell me you've got the shirts. Have you got shirts?
Yeah.
Where do you keep them? Because Holland, and then you've played in Belgium, Liège, Charleroi, and then we'll get to Japan. Yeah. Have you got these shirts somewhere?
Yeah, they're all
good on you.
In the garage, in the cupboard at home.
Right.
I don't really put too much out and about.
They should be somewhere.
Yeah, but as I said, I've got so much more to do.
Yeah, well, and we'll get to that.
And, I sometimes I go down the garage and... I might just open a box. I've got scrapbooks from when my mum used to, from the program from Gauley Bay, the match reports and all that stuff, and just have a quick look through and just for good memories, because I got some of the photos I've got in not albums, just on frames. Yep. With Maradona and with Romario, Bobby Robson, Elton John, and all these guys.
Where'd you meet Elton John? Because he owned Watford, didn't he?
He owned Watford. This was under Pim Verbeek.
We've taken a little side path. I'll get us back though. I want to hear about meeting Elton John.
Yeah, and I had Pim Verbeek. He wanted a base overseas, and with Guus Hiddink, I was doing all Guus's work because he was coaching PSV. So I did all the planning and preparation, and basically he came into camp. He coached the team, and because of his profile and everything, he was incredible. And so him and Pim wanted, him initially, then Pim wanted a base overseas to train. And so Elton John was out in Australia, and I met his agent, Bob Harley at the time. And so I caught up, and Elton John was staying at opposite the Opera House.
That's the best hotel
Hyatt.
in Sydney. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
the Hyatt.
is a quality hotel.
Yeah, and so then I met his agent, and he said, I'd come up to the room. He said, Elton will come and see you. And so we're sitting in his room, and Elton John walks in with his dressing gown on.
This is not where I expected this conversation to go.
No, and he walks in, and I'm sitting on the edge of the bed. His agent's looking in the mirror doing some work, and Elton walked in, and he introduced me, and Elton John goes, I'll help, but get me Mark Viduka. That was the first thing he said. And I said, well, I don't think I can, I'm not sure I can do that. Dukes was at...
To play for Watford?
Yeah, play for Watford.
Right. I'll help you with the ground, but you got to get me the big bomber.
Yeah, I'll help you with the training ground, and you can use our, Watford for friendlies and that, but you've got to get me Mark Viduka.
He just said, done.
And I just went, well, I don't know if I can do that. And he said, well, I need someone like him. He's incredible. And he just went on about football.
So he was he knew the game inside out.
Yeah.
Did you get him Mark Viduka? Did he give you the training ground?
Yes, we got it.
Okay. So you're floating around Europe, but you get to play for the Socceroos, and this is where I had to do some real research. We need to get to coaching.
You are testing my brain.
Well, I know, but you're doing a bloody good job. Just jump on ozfootball.net, and I had to figure my way through this. So you played 56 A matches for the Socceroos, 19 goals, 85 total caps, 33 goals. I had to ring Adam to say, what does this mean? Because I was trying to understand it. See, 1985, your first game for the Socceroos is Olympic Park, Australia versus Red Star Belgrade. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why is he playing for the Socceroos against a domestic club? But you can probably explain this better than I.
Frank Arrock was way above and before time.
He's the coach of the Socceroos at this stage.
The coach of the Socceroos at that stage. We had I'll say an older team at that time, and that was like the John Cosminas and those guys, Steve O'Connor and all them. But in those days, there was no under-23s Olympic team.
I just push that a bit closer.
Oh, sorry.
No,
No under-23 for the Olympic team.
Yep.
And it was his way of developing younger players like myself, Frank Farina, Slater, Tommy McCulloch, all these guys. And so whenever we used to, they would bring club teams out, and also because of the ethnic side of things, how the NSL was.
Yep.
There was mad. There was supporters everywhere for the Red Star, the Serbians, and
holy hell, yeah.
and AC Milan came out, and all those type of teams, and we'd go on 6-week tours to Europe.
Huh.
And the under-23 or the second team would play against them, and it was all about the next generation because we weren't getting any international football.
So he was forward
thinking. Very. There was in those days there was a Joey's, 17s, under-20s, but no under-23s, and then just the Socceroos. He was so far in front of everyone else or everyone thought of for international football. And as I said, in 88, and that was based around in 80, I think I made my debut 84.
85?
85. No, I think I made the A.
Yes,
the B
your B debut.
B debut in 84.
Absolutely.
Yep.
October 23, 1985. So do you remember your first A? I'll test you.
Chinese Taipei.
Chinese Taipei. You remember the score?
5 or 6.
7.
7 I scored.
Where was the ground?
Adelaide.
Hindmarsh.
There you go.
Arnold scored. Here's a full test for you. What minute?
Oh, God.
Come on, Arnie.
Give me a break.
Well, first half, second half.
I reckon first half.
Second half, 68th minute. Arnold on his first A debut for the Socceroos scores. What do you reckon you would have got?
That is a test.
I did. I put you under the pump there. What do you reckon? Because money in football fascinates me because of how much is in the game now. And you talked about 20,000 tax payable dollars in Sydney and then 120 in Europe. What are you getting paid for the Socceroos? Is it per
those days?
Yeah, per game?
Nothing.
Nothing. No. Like actually nothing.
Early 80s, I think we're on a daily wage of, I think it was $50 a day. What are you laughing?
No, I'm not.
No, we didn't. We didn't get match appearances.
Right.
That all blew up in about. I retired '97 after the Iran game.
Yeah.
And they went to a Confederations Cup, and that's when the PFA came or started type thing.
Just after you retired.
Yeah.
Oh, nice timing, Arnie.
Yeah, exactly. But that's when it started with the match payments.
Okay.
But
So
those days, mate, I went to like a function in 1974, Socceroos.
Pete Elton, that
and
crew.
all those, Max Olsen and all that. And they were talking about how they never got paid and how many jobs they'd lost.
To play for the
to
country.
play for their nation. It was really, yeah. But we were the same, and but those days again, Arok had the mindset of looking what's next, and what's next was the '88 Olympics, and it was about the younger players because the older ones couldn't have made that. I think John Cosmina might have been the only one that came along. The Charlie Yankoses and all these guys were ready for the '88. And we went to the '88 Olympics. We got the quarterfinals. We got beat by Russia, and that was pretty much our World Cup squad that got so close.
Yes. Which
Argentina and that.
We'll get to Argentina. Before we get to Argentina, because it's fascinating, because you played against Maradona, and then you've coached against Messi.
Had a good night out with him as well.
Well, okay. Well, this is what we need to hear before. That's a good teaser. Coming up next, Arnie talks about his night on the tiles with Diego Maradona. Prior to that, so 88, that's Seoul.
Yeah.
Away from football, what was your memory of that Olympics? Obviously, so that was Johnson and Lewis, wasn't it? When Ben Johnson, I remember watching that.
You got done for...
Yeah, anabolic steroids. I remember watching that as a kid in the stands at the grand final between Hawthorn and Melbourne, and the Hawks won by 90-odd points. But half-time, whatever the time zone was, they put up the men's 100-metre final. So is there something that sticks out in your mind from that Olympics?
Having a beer with Luke Longley.
As good
Andrew
a bloke,
Gaze.
He's an incredible man. How did you? Can you remember shaking his hand and your sort of hand disappears up to his elbow?
Yeah, and exactly. Never seen someone so tall.
Yeah.
Good laugh. But coming home one night and there was Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, sparring away and getting ready for their fights the next day.
Wow.
I walked past them and what are you guys doing? We're fighting for the gold. Okay. Right.
That's incredible, isn't it?
That was the Olympics those days was, obviously I've been to 4 now with Tokyo, with COVID, and that wasn't fun at all. But it was all about the Olympic team. And it was, I got photos at home sitting in McDonald's in the Olympic Village in Athens.
Yep.
And with Kobe Bryant.
Really?
Sitting next to him, Steffi Graf.
In the Maccas.
Sitting after they got knocked out.
Right.
But it was insane. But,
Mate, you got to get some of these photos out there.
Yeah.
You talk about Argentina. Okay. So yeah, you can correct me here. So you're trying to make USA 94 World Cup. So at this stage of the drought hasn't been broken since 74. So Australia's still looking to make the World Cup. Sydney Football Stadium, October 31, 1993, 1-1 versus Argentina. Vidmar scores in the 43rd minute.
Yep.
Then you go to Buenos Aires,
Yep.
to play at the Estadio Monumental.
At River Plate.
So I reckon one of the top 5 sporting events I've ever been to as a kid, backpacking, I went to see Bocas play
Boca Junior,
in Boca Junior play
Junior,
in Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
I left the youth hostel and it's still seared into my mind what that night at the football was like. Give me, before we talk about Maradona, give me a feeling of going to Argentina. So I presume at this stage, Argentina must be the old 5th place South American qualifier style scenario, is it?
Yeah, they got beat by Colombia.
Okay. That would have gone down well.
5-1.
Right.
And Maradona had retired.
Of course he had.
No, before mate, I was in Holland at the time, Belgium, at the time, and I remember talking to Eddie Thompson, and he was all focused on we're going to play against Chile or Colombia, and then Argentina crashed. And Maradona was in the stands, the Colombia game, and 100,000 started singing his name. And he was retired for, I reckon, 6 months. Right. He was probably 15 kilos overweight. And then he came out of retirement.
To play the Socceroos?
To play the Socceroos.
Both legs?
Both legs.
To try and get Argentina into
he didn't play a game before that. We saw some photos of him training in Buenos Aires, and he stripped weight. He came to Australia, and obviously he had stripped a lot of weight, but he still hadn't played a game until he played against us. And
is it next level?
Honestly, it was crazy, because I honestly say that day.
This is in Sydney or
in Sydney?
Yep.
Promoted Australian football enormously.
Yes, I can remember watching it.
It was like, I think before that, like we played Scotland down here in '85, and we drew 0-0. We lost 2-0 at Hampden Park. They had Dalglish, Souness, like Strachan, incredible. But the that game against Argentina, I'll never forget Allianz in those days, Sydney Football Stadium.
Yeah.
It was sold out, packed, but they left the gates, some of the gates open, and there was people sitting in the stairways and standing everywhere
to watch Maradona.
To watch that game. Oh yeah, it was just for Maradona. But they had some incredible players: Redondo, Diego Simeone,
yeah,
Gabriel Batistuta.
Batistuta, I loved him. I loved Batistuta.
Yeah, and
he's my fave.
They were in incredible side. And McAllister, the player now at Liverpool.
Yep.
His father played for them.
Did he?
Yeah.
So then you go to Buenos Aires. You beat Argentina at home.
No, we drew 1-1.
So, yeah, 1-1. But if you go to Buenos Aires and you beat Argentina, you're in the World Cup.
Oh, the World Cup.
They win there in the World Cup. What is... they said there's 59,768. So there's a match report of this. By a chap called, again, on ozfootball.net, Thomas Asami. A failed clearance by Vasquez had Graham Arnold away with the ball. Ruggieri was rounded, but he held on to Arnold's shirt and pulled him down.
Yeah.
While other defenders were coming, Arnold was past them all. So theoretically, the yellow card produced by Mickelson was lenient. In practice, Thomas Asami, the bloke that wrote this, I was hoping for a red card rather than expecting one, more out of cynicism than anything. So I imagine she was a pretty fired up atmosphere at the Estadio Monumental. Yeah. So what's it like playing against Maradona at home?
But also the crowd was just incredible. It was, they had like a long flag all the way down the dressing room, people rolling down it. And it was the first time I think I've ever played where Frank Farina was standing next to me at the kickoff spot.
Yeah.
Because Farina was suspended the first game and was standing next to me at the kickoff spot, a metre away. I was screaming at him and he couldn't hear me. It's probably the first time I ever played at that stage where you had to play what you see because you couldn't hear anything. The crowd was just so loud. And I'll never forget again, here in Australia, the Australian public, and Maradona came out and said to all the Argentines, when Australia come to Buenos Aires, let them hear their national anthem. Because the Australians respected us so much that they let us hear the Argentine national anthem. They didn't do that.
Well, I looked at it, but when they were coming out, I don't know if it was windy, but I looked at there was all this almost paper blowing across the ground.
Yeah, it wasn't good weather. The field was poor. Madonna had a concert on about 3 days before.
So Madonna 3 days later, Maradona.
Yeah, Maradona, and oh God, yeah. But it was, Paul Wade got given a job in Sydney, man mark Maradona.
Yes.
And I'll never forget Eddie Thompson said, now listen, if he goes up to the toilet, you follow him, right? That's your job. Just stop him from getting the ball. And Paul Wade just followed him for 90 minutes. It was like, I haven't seen it for years ever since, but, just following him around everywhere. And Maradona wasn't that much involved. He did set up the goal they scored.
Yep.
But then when we went over there, he's just... you think, okay, I'll get him now. You tackle him or you're going to get him. His vision, peripheral vision was incredible. He could see everything that was going on around him. And so anyway, we get to the story of the game. And it was, the cross came across, Batistuta went across the ball, hit Alex Tobin. And the wind, as you said, was that bad. Any other time, it was like it would have just gone over the crossbar. And the wind blew it backwards and into the far post. And it was so unjust. And I watch, Howie, these days, I never watch a big game back.
Do you not?
But no, because that time, I thought, I watched the Argentina game back, and just to, analyse how we played, I was so disappointed how we played.
Huh.
It was like we didn't have a go. We just sat back and hoped to win, not going, and we didn't go out there trying to win. And I thought to myself, and I just got really disappointed with that game, watching it back, this a couple of years later, even to today, like big games from the World Cup. Of course, I analyse the games while I'm doing it, but once we get knocked out, or a grand final when we won Sydney FC, or I don't watch.
That's it, you're done with it?
Done with it. I just want a memory of what happens at the time.
So what was your memory of going out with Maradona? This is in Buenos Aires?
In Buenos Aires. Big nightclub called Waffles. Something Waffles. I went down, had to go down.
Your memory's good. You're pulling out nightclubs from 93.
Yeah, well, it was a good night.
I bet it was.
And we went down, I went down because I was playing in Belgium. I went down about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night to pay my room bill because I had to fly out at 5 o'clock the next morning to get back to Belgium. And Farina was the same, and Slater. And so I went down beforehand. All the boys were up in the bar upstairs. We lost 1-0. Not celebrating or anything, just drinking away, and were disappointed that we didn't win or qualify for that World Cup. And I went down to pay, and this guy comes over and taps me on the shoulder. He goes, "Oh, Mr. Arnold, look, I have 10 taxis. Where's the players? Mr. Maradona wants you to come to nightclub." And I'm thinking, yeah, this guy's taking the piss here. And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Look." He said, where's the players? Quick. He says, the nightclub is busy and Diego and all the players there, they want you to come. I said, okay. I said, give me 5 minutes. I went upstairs to the boys.
Round up the troops.
I said, listen, guys. I said, just for 1 minute. There's a guy who's just tapped me on the shoulder downstairs. I said, I will say there is 10 taxis. There is. But he's tapped me on the shoulder to say, listen, Diego Maradona wants us to go to a nightclub in Buenos Aires, and their players are there to have a beer. I'm not sure the guy's told you. Next thing, all the boys, let's go.
Piling.
Within 5 minutes, everyone's dressed and downstairs. And we went to this nightclub. And obviously, Maradona couldn't speak English.
Yep.
But we had one player that could speak Italian, Aurelio Vidmar.
Okay.
And so Aurelio could... But when we walked in, so when we got to the nightclub, there was a queue, massive queue to get in. And we pulled up, taxis started pulling up, and Maradona comes out with security and that, and then takes us all in. But he was in a booth with some beautiful women all around him. No doubt. With, 3 security guards standing there. I went and sat in the booth for about 5 minutes.
So you went in the booth with Diego?
Yeah, he had 4 or 5 beautiful women around him. I went in and just, cheers with a beer and that, and one of the girls could interpret a little bit, and he said, "Thank you so much for the game. Australia is such a good team, and
wow.
And sorry about the loss," things like that. And then I looked at my watch. Oh Jesus, I got a flight.
You got to fly to Belgium.
I got to fly to Belgium. Well, 8:30 in the morning, Maradona comes over and goes, "Well," to Aurelio Vidmar, "Well, I have heard Australians are good at drinking. When are you blokes going home?" And we were still all there.
So you didn't get the flight?
No. I missed a flight. Farina missed a flight. We missed a lot. But and I know you can cut this out if you want.
No, we won't cut it out.
This those days, no mobile telephone, said no cameras. So I went to the urinal to do a pee.
Yeah.
And I'm standing at the urinal doing a pee.
Yeah.
And standing next to me on my left was Maradona. On the right is Diego Simeone. And then Gabriel Batistuta. And I'm standing there doing a pee thinking, geez, I wish I had a camera. Would have been one of the best photos ever.
The boy from Sutherland at the urinal with 3 Argentinian superstars. So that's a World Cup qualifier. You would have been involved in 4 qualifications?
As a player, 4.
As a player?
85, 86, 90, 94, 98.
I look back, which you won't have done, I look back at Iran last night at the MCG, famously Australia 2-0 up, young Harry Kewell. You're an integral part of that side. You get rolled.
2-2.
Yeah.
We're up 2-0.
Yeah, up 2-0.
That lunatic run on the pitch and
Peter
grabbed the
Hoare.
net, Peter.
Yeah.
That was a game changer, I have to say.
So Azizi is the one that scores in the 75th.
Who, sorry?
Azizi. He's the bloke that scores for Iran.
He came off the bench, scored 1 or 2, and then he got taken off again.
Yeah. How was that experience? There's a couple of late chances, probably with you as well.
Yeah, the header I had, and it was just sort of a little bit behind me. I couldn't get power onto it. Just tried to guide it in.
Not that you've hung on to it.
No.
Well, you got to laugh about these things, Arnie.
Yeah, and look, again, Terry Venables, coach, great man, great coach. And we had a mixture of, like when you think about it, that's 97, I was 34.
Yeah.
You know? And
so that's it for you. This is the last chance for the World Cup.
This is the last chance. This is it. And Venables, Terry was fantastic, and we had that generation of Harry, Mark Viduka. He took my spot, Dukes.
Should have sent him off with Elton John. You would have been all right.
I'm happy to. Yeah, exactly. I was happy to give me the number 9 shirt. No, but we had some good experience with Young, and we had a very good. I thought a very good mixture and blend. And Terry Venables, we went and played in Iran, 125,000. Like seriously, David Hill was there. You might have to cut this one out, because no women could go watch the games.
Right.
But David Hill's wife was there. She dressed up as a man.
Did she really?
To get in the stadium.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was the chairman at the time.
That's where Harry scored, wasn't it?
Harry scored 1-1, and we should have won that game.
Good result, 1-1.
Yeah, away.
That one, it's listed as the crowd. Here we go. Azadi Stadium, Tehran, 22nd of November 1997. It's listed at 128,000 punters in the house that night.
Mate, it was insane.
That's a fair old crowd.
And we go there for the first time, and again, things you learn. Terry Venables takes us out for a walk. We're all walking in shorts because it's stinking hot. Can't wear shorts.
Of course.
Police have got us and made us go back to the hotel and rammed us in the hotel and all that. But yeah, and we dominated that game. So much the game here in Melbourne. We should have been up by 5 or 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
We battered them and just missed chances.
And what's it like in the sheds?
Oh, it was after the game was horrific, and as I said, it was my last kick of the ball with the Socceroos. I said to him,
to Eltel?
No, in the dressing room, I just said to him, he was just there, he said to me, he goes,
This is Venables?
Terry Venables, it's one of the most unjust results I've ever been involved in. He coached Barcelona and England and all that. And I said to him, I just was shaking my head, and I said, look, and they had to go to the Confederations Cup after. And I said, Terry, that's me done. I'd rather a young kid go than me. And he said, look, come with us. I said, no, I'm done. I said, it hurts too much. And, the amount of people I still have today that come up and still say about that 1997 game and not qualifying for the World Cup for that is plenty. And but again, the guy ran on the pitch and grabbed the net. I'll never forget 3 or 4 players, I won't say their names, but they came over to the bench. We're going to France, we're going to France, we're going to France. Oh. And Terry Venables, no, we're not, it's not, the job's not done yet, you make sure you stay switched on. And he was going on, yeah, no, we're going to Paris. Switched off. And then 2 goals within, you've probably got the detail there, 2 goals within 5 or 6 minutes, 10 minutes.
It was.
And we couldn't get one back.
So then coaching. Yeah, exactly. You're up for time, mate.
Yeah, I'm good as gold. Yeah.
So before we get into coaching and your thoughts and the way you approach football teams, you then were involved I mentioned going to see Boca. I reckon for me, the World Cup final in India, I had the privilege of working on last November.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy Freeman
Yep.
and Aloisi's penalty are the three best sporting moments I've seen live. So you've transitioned into coaching. So that's excuse me, that's Gus Hiddink in charge of that campaign?
2006.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was assistant to Frank Farina.
Right.
Which I do think, Howie, today, Frank Farina doesn't get enough respect and acknowledgement for what he did.
Okay.
Because he had to coach. We beat Uruguay here.
Yeah.
MCG, World Cup qualifier 2001.
Yep.
We beat them, 2001 for the 2002 World Cup.
Didn't Muscat score a penalty?
Kevin Muscat scored a pen.
We
won 1-0. Now,
That's
we didn't
right.
win against Uruguay in terms of result under Gus. And Frank Farina, we got a bronze medal at the Confederations Cup. We beat Brazil.
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
And Frank Farina had to coach a Socceroo team and an Olympic team when the old NSL shut down and there was no local competitions for 2 years. And then we went to the 2005 Confeds Cup, and that's when Frankie got the sack from Frank Lowy at the time. And probably I think if Frankie was today to sit down and talk about it, it'd probably be his biggest mistake would have been he helped 2 or 3 players not come because they're playing for relegation playoffs at their clubs when the Confeds Cup was on.
Club country.
Yeah. And then we played Peru or Tunisia. And Frankie gave all the players who hadn't started the first 2 games a game, and we lost 1 or 2-0.
And that was that.
But the biggest thing was Frankie's a great friend of mine, and I was leaving with him. And then 2005, and I'll never forget, he got the sack. I had to sit in a cafe at Hyde Park in Sydney where the football office was when they sacked him, and he said to me, "Don't you leave. You got to stay." I said, but mate, you got sacked. I'm loyal to you. No, Arnie. Football Australia need you. The new coach is going to be foreign, and they're going to need you, so stay. So he gave me the blessing to stay. Otherwise, I would have left at that time because he was, again, I think he did such a great job for Australia, and he coached nearly as many games as I've coached.
Yeah,
and
you've coached most of your country now.
Yeah, but just beat him.
So, so on the back of the work that you've done with Frank, and then Gus is there, you're there in that magical Sydney night. What are your memories of? We can't go back into the full game because I'll be happy here for 6 hours. What are your memories of the penalty and the moment?
Yeah. Oh, look, the biggest memories for me, Howie, obviously, is the 1-1 over in Montevideo, where we lost 3-0 the time before.
Yep.
The players' energy, the demanding from Hiddink of a chartered flight back.
That's right. I can remember. There was a big story, wasn't it?
Yeah. And
because you got back and Uruguay didn't, so there was a psychological advantage.
Yep,
You'd had more
100%.
preparation time. It was a big story, Arnie.
And Recoba broke down, extra time, fatigue.
Recoba, yeah.
And these things, and Hiddink planned all that type of stuff and his experience.
It was just fully professional, wasn't it, from the outside looking in?
Yeah. And you know, again, I'm just going through moments. The non-selection of Harry Kuehl to start, and the way he got me to do that, because it was not to talk to Harry, not to explain why you why he wasn't.
So you had to tell him.
I had to tell him. Yeah.
I remember when the team list came up on the night, and it was like, "Oh, Harry Kuehl's not starting the game."
Yeah, Gus's thing was,
So what do you say?
I
to him?
need a pissed off Harry Kuehl,
Right.
because he'll take us to the World Cup.
Huh?
That's what Hiddink said.
Psychological genius.
When Popovich smashed Recoba with the elbow, and you straight away, and again, it's experience, right, from a top manager or that, and I've learned so much off the man. But straight away, as soon as Popovich got that yellow card, it was around, say, the 30th minute, he hit Recoba.
Yep.
Straight away, Hiddink was, get him off. We've got to get him off. They're going to get him second yellow. they'll go after him. And honestly, every time Uruguay got the ball for the next 5 or so minutes while we were warming the players up, they just ran at Popovic.
To try and get him
the second yellow.
So he gets red and
and Hiddink was screaming out, don't touch him to Popper. And then he brought Harry on for Tony Popovic.
Yeah, right.
And Harry set up the goal. And Bresch scored.
Marco Bresciano with a statue.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the penalty shootout was, it was, again, he's detailed to planning, and I've learnt so much from that over the years. We practiced a penalty shootout at training. So all the boys were doing a drill in the centre circle on halfway, and they had to practice the walk down to the penalty spot. All right.
To that level of detail.
Yeah, and also he got our team manager, Gary Moretti, to find out if there is a penalty shootout, which end is it, and where are the Australian fans. Uruguay fans were behind. If you come out the dugout or the tunnel, Uruguay fans were on the right, the Aussie fans were on the left. And Gary Moretti said, Socceroos fans are on the left. Right, we've got to do the penalty shootout down there. Make sure you get to the referees. Make sure you... Right?
So in front of the home fans?
Yeah, so we did it in front of our own fans. And that was his detail. And so the boys had to practice, and honestly, I was doing the refereeing and writing down. He said, say to the player, which side you're going to put it, where you're going to put it, and don't change your mind. If you miss, then you've got no one to blame. But don't change your mind. So the night before, the boys went down. Mark Viduka did exactly the same penalty that he actually did in the game and missed.
Which he missed, yeah.
And missed by exactly the same amount.
So that's the same practice penalty he took. He missed it in the practice.
Exactly.
And then he missed it. I can still remember the groans around that, John.
God. And then Johnny Aloisi, because obviously Johnny didn't start, so we're talking subs. If you come on. And Johnny just, straight away, it was like, I'll take Arnie. If I'm on the pitch, I'll take the fifth penalty. And I'm looking at him go, fifth? I said, okay, righto, why? He said, I want to take the fifth. Again, Harry Kuehl, Lucas Neal. Like Lucas, 2 steps. A penalty with 2 steps, taking it. And then on the match night, Brett Emerton came off with a hamstring. Last 2 minutes, extra time. And but Željko Kalac was coming on. He was going to replace Schwarzer.
He was.
100%.
So you're going to do...
I had the slip already filled out.
So you're going to replace the goalie, which is something you did later on, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
You replace the goalie with a...
Hiddink was going to replace Schwarzer with Kalac.
So he's a penalty stopper.
Well, Hiddink said... I actually said, why? Schwartzer's good at penalties.
Well, he did the job against Canada, etc.
Yeah, exactly. And Hiddink said, we've got to play with their minds. It's a mind game. Penalty shootouts, mind games.
So he wasn't so much about what Željko could bring. It was the psychological impact of changing the keeper.
Because they would then, the opposition would then start questioning, why have they changed, like Mark Schwarzer, top goalkeeper? Why would they change? And that's exactly what I did with the Peru. And so Emerton came off, Skoko went on. And Hiddink says to me, right, so then full time, right, I needed 5 penalty takers. So we got Harry, we got Lucas, we got Viduka, we got Aloisi. No number 3, right? I go to Timmy Cale. Timmy goes, no, I don't take pens. I said, right. Jason Chelina, Jace, do you want to take the 3rd penalty? Arnie, no, mate. Oh.
This is in the midst of that little changeover.
Yeah, it's in the circle. And Skokes, you want to take a penalty? Arnie, mate, I've just come on over and touch a ball. So that's...
It's not a lot of blokes put their hands up.
So that's like 4.
Yeah.
4, and the 4 that it's going to take, there's 8 plus Schwartz's 9. And I'm looking around.
There's not many left.
Tony Vidmar. And I looked at him. He goes, Arnie, I'll take it. He said, redemption time, payback. And I looked at him and I said, you sure? Yep, I'll take the 3rd. So then I said, come back to Hiddink because Hus stayed on the bench. Everything sorted? Oh, yeah, boss. Yeah, everything's good. Okay, good. So who's taken? Told him. He goes, Tony Vidmar.
The Dutch
Centre
genius
back.
was a bit concerned, was
He
he?
goes, centre back. Okay, Tony Vidmar. And then Tony Vidmar stepped up to take with his left foot. He didn't thought he was right-footed. and he grabs me. He's got his arm around me, like the penalty shoot. He grabs me. He pinches me on the shoulder. He goes, "What's he doing? What's he doing?" I go, "What?" He goes, "He's right-footed. Why is he taking his left?" I said, "No, boss, he's left." Okay. Yeah, and that was, and Johnny stepping up the way he did. It was just his mindset. It was the night before. I think he had this thing that whatever happened, he was going to be the star of the show.
Yeah.
And his name was going to be remembered forever.
Right.
Whether he was going to come on and score to take us to the World Cup or that fifth penalty.
The fifth and decider.
Yeah. And he just stepped up and made it was incredible. The way he dealt with the pressure and obviously we hadn't qualified for 30 years and, 32 years and everyone was talking about it and, for him to do that and get us through and obviously Schwartz making those saves was incredible.
Oh, it's one of the great moments in the history of Australian sport. It really is. So, mate, we could go to you dominate.
Go on forever, right?
No, well, but we could go to you dominating the A-League and the titles with that you've won there and the first coach to win for two different clubs and what you did at Sydney FC. But let's focus on the Socceroos. And I want to talk to you about the COVID campaign. But tell me in a minute. No,
1 minute.
Yeah, try and tell me in a minute. If I had to say to you, what is your key approach to coaching the national football side? And I understand it could be a 4-hour answer, but in a minute, what would it be?
The key? To do the nation proud. I am a lover of Australian football and I have the passion for Australian football and I truly believe in Australian kids. Being part of the Socceroos is something that's unique. When you look at only, 630 people have ever played for the Socceroos in 100 years.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing. But, no, I just want to help the game, help the players. It's not about, Graham Arnold. I have the privilege of coaching the nation and I just want to help the players and help the game as much as I can. I do get pissed off with the fact that the game is quite disrespected from the government, and because we don't have a home of football, we don't get half of or a quarter of what AFL get and the NRL. Yet all of our players have to go overseas and leave their family, leave their friends to earn a salary to be able to play the sport. But look, on the coaching side of it, it's just doing what's, the moments for me, Howie, is when you see Fed Square, 2 a.m. in the morning, and you see all those people celebrating and smiling and laughing, and that's a big thing for me. It's about doing what's good for the individuals, the players, helping Australian kids, and helping the nation.
It's a great answer. Let's talk about getting to the World Cup and then the World Cup, then I'll let you go. And when I said at the start that I think after investing so much time reading and watching, it was the campaign to the last World Cup, the qualifiers, which is why I said I think the nation's indebted to the way you've served the country for such a long period of time. So it was COVID. I read about it. You had to play 20 matches.
Did you read where I got fined $25,000 for walking my dog?
I did. You can talk about that if you want. There's some of the shit that happened in those times, Arnie. We'll get to criticism because you were heavily criticised then. 20 matches in 10 countries. The qualifying lasted for 1,008 days, of which at various times Australia was guaranteed. At various times we're not going to qualify. At various stages, Arnold's a hero. He's got us the World Cup. At various stages, your own former teammates are saying this bloke should not be coaching the country. He's absolutely cocked this up. So it all comes to fruition in the Emirates against Peru.
UAE and then Peru, yeah.
Yep. So give me you said you love the stress. Give me a sense of the pressure at various stages you were under before we get to the World Cup and the pressures that comes with that. The pressure you're under across that 1,008 days, 3-year period.
Oh, look, again, this is where I thank my dad, because I don't listen to those people, but you learn who your friends are.
My word, you do.
Really, Howie. It's like when things aren't going well, then you learn who your mates are. And when things are going well, all the pretenders come out. And, it was tough because obviously with COVID, and I got locked away. When I say got locked away, I couldn't get back in the country for 6 months, and I had to, I was doing the Olympic team as well, and we qualified for Tokyo, and so I couldn't get back to the family and see all that.
For 6 months?
6 months, yeah. Couldn't get back in the country. I could if I did isolation.
Yeah, and that was a
And, mate, I could not do isolation if you paid me, right? I would have to find a way to get out of that room where we had a base in Dubai, in UAE, that I could stay there. But it was tough and extremely tough on staff. There was a time where I had my 2 assistant coaches got COVID, Tony Vidmar and Rene Mullins. So I had to do the China game and the Vietnam game on my own with no support staff.
You coached a game via computer at one point, I remember
Vietnam
watching.
down here.
Because you had COVID.
I had COVID, where I had no symptoms. But I got tested at the airport here in Melbourne. Next thing I get a text message that I had COVID, and I got locked away. I stayed in the Pullman.
Welcome to Victoria, mate.
Yeah. And
so you coached them via your laptop, yeah?
Yeah. So I had to have meetings. So I was in my room, laptop, doing the meetings, doing the way we were playing, showing how Vietnam would play, doing it. Then Rene Mollenstein, my assistant, went and did the field sessions, and I couldn't go to the game. And then we played Japan in Sydney. I had COVID again. And again, no symptoms. It was just Football Australia being, safe that I wouldn't go in, or people wouldn't go into camp with COVID. I tested positive. Again, I turned up for the Japan game at 2 p.m. match day. And we lost. I had 8 players out with COVID that game.
And that would have been another sack Graham Arnold moment.
Exactly.
So it gets to, there's a couple of moments I want to ask you about how you address the troops. It gets to this incredible journey. You've tried to get there 4 times as a player. As a coach, you've seen Aloisi get there, so you're involved in the Timmy Carlin beating Japan, our first World Cup goal, our first World Cup win. Then you're trying to qualify. It gets to the same old, that you had to beat Argentina, you now got to beat Peru. You get one crack at it. What do you say to your players before they run out on the pitch? Are you a tactics man at that point? Are you a fire and brimstone? Are you do it for your country? Like, what do you say?
It's all mindset.
Mindset.
Howie, it's what they. First of all, every individual has their own journey, their own goals in life. So that's one. Second is family. Then third thing for me is nation, because obviously we want to make the nation proud, but also make your family proud. These moments in time, there's not many people that get these type of chances in life. So you want to be, you want to remember these type of moments for the rest of your life. Before the Peru game, I had ex-players talking about Mile Jednak and Timmy Cahill and that, talking about what it means to qualify for a World Cup.
To the group?
To the group, yeah. Because these guys have experienced what you've got to go through, but also what it takes to get there. So we had a good camp in the UAE. We were able, in Qatar, where we beat the UAE 2-1 and we progressed. And I have to say, Howie, I made some big decisions in terms of going for younger players over older players.
What's Arnold doing? He's pulling the wrong rein.
Yeah, and because young ones bring energy, older ones, they don't. And if they don't play or they don't start, then they have an effect on the whole group. So the younger ones were important for me. But again, this is for you. This is what you've worked hard for in life. You get one opportunity, 2 opportunities. Don't waste it. Take it, take it on the field and, give it your all. As long as you give it your all and you can look in the mirror the day after the game, knowing you gave it everything, then there's no drama in life. And I think that's sometimes people struggle in terms of elite sportsmen after they retire because they know that they probably have cheated in terms of not training properly, not eating properly, not preparing properly, and they haven't really achieved their goals.
So the one question I wanted to ask you, you've already answered, is I was going to say to you, so it gets to a penalty shootout and you replace the goalkeeper. You put Andrew Redmayne in, the so-called grey wiggle. Now, I'm thinking to myself, I've got to ask him why the hell he did that, but you've explained to me why he did that, because Gus Hiddink has inspired that. So in the penalty shootout at that stage, firstly, does Redmayne know? Does he know that you're going to put him in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Matty Ryan didn't.
So the goalkeeper in there didn't. So
captain and
a wonderful footballer over a long period of time. So do you just say to him in the moment, mate, you're done here?
Well, if I told him before the game, if we get to a penalty shootout, I'm going to take you off, it would have stuffed up the other 119 minutes.
Yeah, you can't tell. You're not going to get to a penalty shootout if you tell him that.
Exactly. So I didn't tell him anything. I obviously sat down with John Crawley, the goalkeeper coach, and said to him about, I've known Matty for years, and Matty's a great keeper. But the way he dealt with that decision was incredible because...
So you just tell him at the moment, right, mate,
yep,
you're out.
Yeah, just a number up, number one, off.
There's a fair chance he could say, piss off, coach.
Exactly, I've seen it before. He could have easily just stood there and, body language, throwing his hands in the air and carrying on. But he came off and he said to Andrew Redmayne when he went on, go out and do it for your nation, mate. Make yourself proud. That's what he said to Redders, and Redders goes on. But Matty had no idea. And Redders, as I said, I spoke to Redders and got him to study the opponents, penalty takers, and to be ready mentally to come on in case we got to the penalty shootout. And obviously I had to inform in about the 116th minute Jackson Irvine.
Yeah.
Because I needed him to fake an injury to go down for the game to stop, to get the substitution done, because the ball wasn't going out. And
to get
just to get it done, because otherwise the ball could have stayed on the pitch.
So that's to get Redmayne in the game?
Yeah, to get him in the game.
Okay.
That's why it was about 119th minute. And we right down to the detail, Howie, of we don't believe that they'll know what we've got as penalty takers. If you see their goalkeeper with a bottle, right, two drink bottles, one of them will have the detail of where our penalty takers take it.
Well, written on there?
Yeah.
As in, player X will go to the top left.
So
on his drink bottle.
Yeah. So the goalkeeper, we knew they wouldn't have studied us for that. But so they had one bottle, was like that there, but it was a big Gatorade bottle and a water bottle. And on the Gatorade bottle, you could see there was paper that was sticky taped onto the bottle. So the goalkeeper had the first one. I was watching him, and I was watching the first penalty, Martin Boyle. You'd see the goalkeeper see him coming up, look at the bottle, puts it back down next to the post.
And saves it.
He saved it.
So you're down 0-1 here.
We're down 0-1. And you could see the goalkeeper did that, right? Redders got the bottle, chucked it in the crowd.
You're shitting me.
No, straight away, because we informed him. So Redmayne, so after the first penalty, he saved it. Redmayne didn't save it. Redmayne walks back. As he's walking back to where he had to stand while the penalties were taken, he saw that bottle, picked it up, chucked it in the crowd.
Under instruction.
And
old mate never made another save for the penalty shootout.
He never got close to one again.
So that's the attention to detail and the professionalism you've learnt through the way, and Gus Hiddink, etc.
Yeah, right down to the last detail.
So when I'm going to get you the World Cup, do you say anything to Redmayne afterwards? Do you say, congratulations, well done, mate? Or is it just like, I watched it, and the emotion for you and your coaching panel and the players I mentioned it. Where did I write it down here? 1,008 days, 20 matches, 10 countries. Arnold's going to stuff this up. We're not going to make the World Cup. It's going to cost football. This set us back for a generation. There's a fair bit of pressure on here.
Well, I thank Redders, for, I had a Winnebago ready just in case.
Yeah, heading up the Central Coast.
No. I was heading up the Northern Territory,
Right.
Cape York or somewhere.
Somewhere there was no Wi-Fi.
Where no one knows me. And so I had that ready. So I just said, mate, thanks for let me stay in Sydney for a bit longer.
So, mate, you get to the World Cup, and again, November 23. Again, give me in 1 minute an idea of the size and the intensity. Like you see it when you watch it on the television. I've never had the privilege of seeing a World Cup match live, and there's those moments you can remember, the Baggio miss or the Kale goal. Like there's moments that stick in your mind growing up watching. So it's bigger than Ben-Hur. What's it like being amongst the maelstrom of it?
Oh, it was incredible. And Qatar World Cup was fantastic because a lot of the fans didn't have to travel and all that stuff. And so for us, Qatar was like, in a way, a bit like a second home because with COVID and that, we couldn't get out or couldn't play in Australia. Pardon me.
No.
And so we had to play our games in Qatar. But it was incredible. And, it was, again, Aussie DNA, Aussie way. No one's giving us a chance, guys. We're not going to win nothing. We're shit. All the people are telling us. And I think that's one thing that I've driven with these boys for 5 or 6 years now is proving people wrong.
And at that point, November 23, you play against the Kylian Mbappe, inspired France, 4-1.
Yeah.
Arnold's got to go. He stuffed us up. We're knocked out here. Yeah. It's a disaster. I asked you what you said to the boys before Peru. What do you say when you walk into the change rooms after France?
I never, ever talk in the dressing room after games.
Don't say anything.
I learnt many years ago to control my emotion.
That's not a good time to speak.
No, because a lot of times, and I've seen it many times with coaches, they'll come in after the game, and with their emotion, they'll say things they regret. Then they apologise 2 days later. Well, it's too late. So what I've learned is I don't talk after the games. I got them back to the hotel and gave me time to calm down. Obviously, wasn't happy in any way. We lost 4-1 to France, but I was very happy with the first 28 minutes. We're up 1-0.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you look at the value of their squad, you've got to be realistic.
Yes.
You look at the value of their squad compared to ours. Look where their players play compared to ours.
Well, Mbappe will be getting paid more than the entire squad put together. Yeah. But when you
the whole country.
When you go down 4-1,
yeah.
Do you have any internal doubt yourself?
No.
None?
No.
We're still on the right path?
Yep.
And is that the message you give to the players eventually?
Yep. So I got them back to the hotel. And for me, Howie, with that type of situation, it's all about honesty and truth. Because you can waffle on and as a coach and you can pretend or lie. Well done, boys. We weren't that bad. Don't worry. It was a false scoreline or whatever. And the players, they take it and they go. But I sat them down straight after the game. We went back to the hotel before dinner. I said, right, everyone in the meeting room, we need to have a chat. And, mate, I was calm and I just said, right, let's be honest here. Anyone, everyone, all the boys and the staff as well, because it's all about positive messaging and energy. All right? I don't want any negative stuff around the place. Never have, never will. And it's important how staff react. Because if they go back to this kit room or the physio room and they've got a negative attitude about the performance, it's going to affect the players. So I just got everyone in one room and I just said to them, right, let's be honest. Anyone in this room, put your hand up if you think that we are better than France. No one put their hand up. Right, anyone here think that we've got better players than they've got? No one put up their hand.
Gee, it's honest.
I said, right. The best thing is what we learn from this. This level at World Cups, this level of opposition, a small mistake turns into a big mistake. And we saw that tonight. So I will be saying publicly this is the best friendly game we could have ever had for the rest of our World Cup. This game's over. It's past. We've still got 2 games to go. Get to bed, relax, Training we start tomorrow, and it's all about the preparation for the Tunisia game, which we will win. That's why we're here, to win these games.
This is when our World Cup starts.
Yep, this is when our World Cup starts. Get off social media, because you will read a load of shit on it. Do you believe and trust me? And they're all saying, you could see them say, yep. Staff, we all in this together? Yep. Right. This is a great opportunity to shut everyone up. Right, so get yourselves ready. And that's it.
Well, it's obvious, and people understand as they listen to you that we are lucky to have you. November 26th, Australia 1, Tunisia 0, Duke in the 23rd. Then December 1. So there's no such thing as a gimme in a World Cup, obviously. But I'm sure everyone in Tunisia think Tunisia wins, but Australia, as a sports-loving nation, think, okay, we're a good chance against Tunisia. We come up against Denmark, who you beat 1-0, Lecky in the 60th. But Denmark are, I don't know, they'd be...
They were ranked, at the time they were ranked 9 in the world.
Yeah, I was about to say 8 or 9. What's your main memory of Denmark, and then understanding you've qualified for, so it's the round of 16 in the World Cup, isn't it?
Well, we didn't know, and I had no idea that Tunisia
Of course.
would beat France.
Of course.
And if we didn't win, we were out.
Yep.
So if we had drawn, we were out. So we had to win. And, because our goal difference wasn't great, because obviously the first game, the 4-1 loss. So it was just, again, it's about the team. It's not about the individual. It's about we might not be as good technically as those type of teams, but I believe the Australian way is the team and the mindset of we run till we drop. We fight for everything. And, I think Denmark were a little bit underprepared with our way of playing. And, it was obviously an incredible moment, Matthew Lecky, in scoring the goals. And
What's that like as a coach on the sideline, as the manager, when one of your green and golds puts it in the back of the net?
Oh, incredible. But your focus is at that moment is just winning and focusing my job on the tactical side of the game. And if they're making changes now, because, obviously they're down 1-0, and making sure we got the players ready on the bench in case. But again, like when we got back to the hotel, grabbed the boys after dinner, come and look at this. Showing them Fed Square.
Did you?
Yeah. And they were like, oh, wow. That's
I guess you're isolated from that,
yeah,
aren't you?
because it was...
we're here living it.
Yeah. So, and we're stuck away, and it's like we're not part of it, so you don't see it. Right, look at Fed Square, look at Sydney and Barangaroo there. Look what you're doing to Australia. Look at the kids that you're inspiring to be the next generation of the Socceroos moving forward. These are moments your family will never, ever forget.
And how proud that must be.
And how proud, yeah.
We spoke about Maradona and Paul Wade. They played what we would call in AFL, and you said you haven't seen it for a long time, the Tigers role, where he's just followed him around. Yeah. So then the round of 16, which is as far as Australia's progressed in a World Cup before, we hadn't scored in a round of 16. Obviously, you were involved in that campaign, and Lucas Neal and Italy, etc. I know you're not focused. Well, I don't know how much focus you're giving to one player, but how do you approach coaching against a team that has, people flip Ronaldo and Messi, the best player of their generation. I'm a Messi man. I'll put my hand up now. I don't know enough about the game, but I'm a Messi man. Who are you?
I hate you then.
Right, you're a Ronaldo man? You're a Ronaldo man?
No.
I'll just put you on the spot. Who are you picking?
Maradona.
Okay, right. Okay, but this generation, Messi, he's the talisman. He's the Maradona of his generation. Yeah. How do you approach...
The smartest player, Howie.
Is he just a little bastard?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've coached against him 4 times now.
Right. I shouldn't say bastard. Is he just a little fella?
Yeah. And so, honestly, genetically, everything about Maradona is Messi. Same, they both left-footed, same type of player, both wear the same numbered shirt. Yeah. It's crazy how they're so similar in how they play the game, but also the way they are. But Messi, I said I removed his name. When I was talking to the players about their style, their way of playing and all that. Because the more you mention Messi's name, the more they get in their mind obsessed with him, and then it affects performance.
So you don't.
I called him number 10.
Right.
They're number 10.
Okay.
They're number 10.
Right.
And as he's got older, he's got so much smarter as well, where he lets the game go past him. So if you stood a player and man marked him, he'd go stand next to Matty Ryan. So then you're keeping their whole side onside.
Okay.
And now if you put a player beside him, like...
So he's dragging you down next to our goalkeeper.
Yeah. And when the game's going on and we've got the ball, they play with 10 men, right? When Argentina don't... when we've got the ball, Argentina play with 10 men.
Because he's not defending?
He's not defending. But what he does is...
He just seems to jog.
He just walks. We got his stats, and his stats for our game was something like only 6 Ks.
What's a general player doing?
10, 12.
Right.
And he just walks, but he's so smart when he gets it. So he'll let the game go past. So we'll have the ball, let the game go past, right? He's standing 10, 15 minutes offside just walking back. But he doesn't walk central. Every time you keep walking right or left or central, you keep changing whichever way. So players are like, look, where is he? Where is he? And it's the moments that the opponents switch off that he comes on. And as I said, when they'll have the ball, then our defence will drop, right? Because they've got the ball, they've got possession. Next thing he's back on the side. So the player who's standing there next to him, has to be alert.
So he's been standing in an offside position.
Yeah.
Our defenders come back towards our defensive goal.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's onside.
Then all of a sudden he's onside. And then if they go further, next thing he's in their midfield. Now, if you stick one player, and so what I did was I said to Riley McGree and Keanu Backus, I said, you two are responsible for him in the final third, right?
In the defensive third.
In the defensive third. That's when he comes to light, right, in the midfield side of things. And if you look at the goal he scored, stupid foul for a start.
Yep.
They got a free kick in a dangerous area. Harry Sutter cleared it with his head, where Matty Ryan probably could have come out and caught it, and then all over. Harry's cleared it with his head in second phase. Now, the second phase is sometimes when players switch off. And then Messi's played it and chased it, and that's what he does. He plays it and chases it, and that's when the opponent needs to chase. And Riley McGree couldn't keep up.
Happened so quick when you look back at it.
I 43rd minute.
I watched it 6 times last night to the point I had my Mac out and I was like slowing it down. I don't understand enough about the game, but to watch how he did it and how quickly he did it. So he scores, you get beat 2-1. The good one deflection. So, with 15 minutes to go, there's chances.
Yeah, Howie, we had one small advantage, and I tried to push, and I did push this a lot with the boys, is Argentina played, they had about 15 hours less recovery than us for the game.
So you think you got more run in the legs?
Yeah. And I said to the boys, and they had a few older players, and like obviously Messi and that. And it was, we run the legs off them. I was really disappointed at the end of the game that we lost. And people are saying, typical Aussies, and I've driven this with the players over the last, couple of months of the Palestine game, and that is, I'm sick of the Socceroos being called the unlucky Socceroos. Oh, geez, they played well, but we lost. England at Wembley, we lose 1-0. We played really well. We should have won it. Asian Cup, quarter-final, South Korea. And I'm sick of it. When are we going to beat those? I want us in the top 20. I want us beating these bigger nations. We've got the quality. Let's do this, right? And against Argentina, in the 55th, 56th minute, they went to a back 5. So instead of a 4-3-3,
So they're defending.
They changed. They took off a winger. Messi became the second striker.
Yep.
And they went to a back 5 to try and shut up shop. And I turned around to René Moll, my assistant, I said, mate, they've gone to a back 5 already. Back 5 to shut up shop because they're up 1-0. And from that moment, I reckon the 60th minute on, it was all us. Aziz Beach did that great run. Now, if you ever watched the clip back, if Aziz had done what a South American would have done and probably fallen over,
Yeah.
the VAR would have given that a penalty
Yeah.
because
I did
they
watch
clipped his leg, his standing leg, which means, when you clip the standing leg, knocks the balance off you before you shoot. And it could have been a different story. And, mate, Scaloni, after the game, said, after the World Cup, said Australia was our hardest opponent.
Yeah, he did.
And I saw him at a World Cup coaches review and had a beer with him, and a great man. And
You
very,
like having
very,
a beer with the Argentinian stars, don't you?
Yeah, well, you never know. They might let me win one day. And he said it there as well. Australia were the hardest opponent. Like, he probably, doesn't want to say the French, but
Yeah.
that's great.
So, last couple of questions for you. Well, how far can we go?
Well, if you don't reach for the stars, you're never going to make it. And if you got low expectations, well, then how do you get to high expectations? And I've always been a coach with the strong messaging of energy, belief, and focus on your job, and energy, and the brain and the mindset. And my goals to the players and my messaging to the players is, I don't want another playoff. Direct qualification, and it starts in 2 weeks' time. And I want us to be in the rank, to be ranked in the top 20. We're at 22, 23 at the moment, and I want us ranked in the top 20 in the world. And when we go to the World Cup, we're going there to do better than what we did last time. I don't want to put false expectations out there, but I do believe in these boys, Howie. I think we got some young boys coming through. It will take a little bit of time for them to still adjust and climb. I've got some older boys that, are really good people, but also good leaders now, where I think one of Australia's issues in not just elite sport, but is leadership, because it's not like kids these days, because of, again, social media and iPads and TVs, their communication is less than what it used to be, and there's a lack of leadership out there. But we've got some good leaders, and as I said to you, I just feel I've done nothing yet. It's great that you've invited me for this and for this podcast and that. And we could sit here for another couple of hours. And I got a heap more stories, but I just want to do what's great for the nation and for the game of football, and let's go out there and shock the world.
As I said right at the start, we're lucky to have you. I asked this question, which didn't seem a relevant question at the time, because I asked it to a bloke who was coaching in Japan by the name of Ange.
Oh, yeah.
At the time. I said, mate, I know you're fully committed to the Socceroos. I said to him, if you could coach any football club in the world, domestically, which would it be? He said, Liverpool. But he said, Liverpool, I'm coaching in Japan. Then all of a sudden he was a Celtic. And then he's at Tottenham. And then rumours came out about Liverpool. So be careful answering this, Arnie, because you never know. But I know you're fully committed to the Socceroos, and domestic football's not in your mindset. But for you, if you could coach one club domestically, you can choose anyone. You can choose Real or Manchester or Bocas or River Plate, or who's your club?
Arsenal.
Were you an Arsenal?
Yeah, I grew up as an Arsenal fan.
So we'll just put that out there. Mate, we always finish this podcast the same way. You have achieved tremendous success in your field of football. In my mind, in your mind, you've still got a long way to go, which is why we're in good hands. For all the people that listen to this show, got a lot of kids listening to this show that might be on the way. I always use different examples. They might be on the way to soccer training right now, or football training, or to be a baseballer, or a concert pianist, or the world's best electrician. From your experience and the success you've had, what advice would you pass on to those that are trying to achieve success?
Fulfill your dreams. Go for it. Because everyone is born with probably the same qualities. It's what you do with it. and it's how hard you work and how much you want it. And when you do start achieving, believe in yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to believe in yourself and hard work. So it's, you don't know what life is going to bring. You never do. I can't tell you what my life's going to bring in front of me. Can you?
No.
So, but I can make things happen if I want those things to happen. So believe in yourself and chase it.